Oklahoma was dead to the world. I'm telling you. They was counting y'all out. I was counting y'all out. I was roasting myself. Talking about I'm getting cooked in my mentions. My mentions is flooded with Ohio State fans, with Texas fans, with Aggie fans, all trying to get their pound of flesh because my squad, down 28-7 to the number 21 team in the country. Meanwhile, A&M, they not even ranked. Gonna knock off the number 1 team in the country. We're gonna have a lot to say about this for the top 25 coming out tomorrow. And we're gonna do a little bit more on it tomorrow in the spaces on the number 1 ranked show. You wanna be there if you wanna ask some questions about what I'm sure you're gonna wanna argue with me about. But let me take it back to 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, okay? And then I gotta say, this has been an outstanding day for me, like me personally, right? I got Deontay Wilder in the ring right now fighting for you and me. I got Oklahoma standing atop a trash heap of one-loss teams, right? And over Texas dead body. But I also got my coach, the way the old folks try to tell me that Barry Switch is their coach. My coach, Bob Stoops, 18-0. Iowa 6-0. We'll talk about them in a little bit. Oklahoma 6-0. We're talking about them right now. Kentucky 6-0. Holy smokes, 6-0 for the first time since 1950. But Coach Stoops was in Iowa City, beating the big noon desk, watching Kennedy Brooks run Oklahoma to 6-0. Brandon Bevo with the largest comeback victory in the history of the series. Been playing this game 117 times. Ain't never seen no comeback like this. It's OU's best start to a season since the beginning of the 2019 season. 7-0, Jalen Hurts, you know, he was the quarterback back then. They took an L to K-State. Guess what? They already got the W against K-State. Nanny, nanny, boo-boo. That's what I'm saying to you. This game, though, OU Texas has had at least 93 points scored in 3 out of the last 4 years. Today's 103-point total marks the highest scoring game in OU Texas history, means these teams scored 5 more points in today's regulation game than last year's teams combined with 4 overtimes. What I'm saying to you is it's not the Red River Showdown. No, sir. No, ma'am. No. It is the Red River pew, 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 pew shootout. Because that's what we be doing. We be scoring on each other. Look, since the Big 12 formed a quarter century ago, 16 of the last 27 games played between Oklahoma and Texas have been when both teams are ranked in the AP poll. At the final whistle, Oklahoma now claims a 12-4 advantage in those games. Texas came in, though, looking like they was going to run up all over Oklahoma. Had 1,035 rush yards through its last 3 games. It's the most during a 3-game stretch dating back to Matt Brown's 2011 season. Now, they had 11-11 during that stretch from October 15, 2011 to November 5th, 2011. But the Longhorns, they just finished 8-5 that year, so it ain't necessarily a good thing. Didn't even have a 1,000-yard rusher that season. Their leading rusher that year, dude named Malcolm Brown. My man had 742 yards on the ground 2011. Okay, after 5 games, sophomore tailback BIJAN Robinson already had 652, and he would leave OU Texas with a boatload more. But look, Oklahoma riding a 14-game win streak for the longest active win streak in the entire universe. In the world, Craig. Top flight security of the world, Craig. They could tie their 4th longest such streak, right, with this one. Now, what I find to be even more interesting about this is that Oklahoma has won 20 straight twice before. It's on the table right now. It's on the table, okay? Now, last time they did that, oh yeah, it was a national title run from 2000 to 2001, you know? But it was dark before the dawn today, okay? It got dark, y'all. In the first 2 minutes, Texas wideout Xavier Worthy put his palm on Jaden Davis's forehead and made a house call. Spencer Rattler took a sack. An OU punt was blocked. Robinson walked in for 6, and I couldn't do 54 minutes of this, man. 58 more minutes of this. I could not do it. In the first 3 minutes, though, we learned, again, Arkansas is a damn good football team, right? That's what I'm saying. Because Texas was up 14-0 on Oklahoma. who, also continues to have that O next to their name. We'll get into that in a second. In the first 6 minutes, though, 21 points were scored. Means we were averaging better than a point per every minute of this game. And when you look at the 60 minutes and you look at 55 points put up, you get what I'm saying. 9 minutes in, Rattler airmailed and overnighted a pick like it had been in Texas hands, or had to be, like yesterday. And I felt like Mike Lowry on the phone, calling up his Haitian source, talking about, you embarrassed me in front of my people. Because once again, I was getting towed up on the tweets. Just no mercy y'all was showing me. And then in the first 14 minutes of the first quarter, I ain't gonna lie, I was still getting cooked on the Twitters, but it was also 28-7, so I was cooking myself, right? Everybody pulling out my receipts on my national title pick. This dude picked Oklahoma. Yes, he did. And the offerings at the fair look just as deep fried as my picks. But this comeback, it's Greek, it's Latin, it's Roman. What I'm saying is it's classic. But Texas, you were up 28-7 and still held this L in your home state where your mama stay. Oklahoma came from 21 down and is still wearing that ugly golden hat crown. But here are 4 things we learned from this game. Number 1, Spencer Rattler might have started his last game as an OU quarterback, family. Like, it's looking that dire for your man. On a 4th and 1, though, true freshman quarterback Caleb Williams went 66 yards to the house on the first snap of the game for him. Full credit to Rattler, though, for real. That dude has every reason to feel people are coming for his job, because most of y'all are, and he was continuing to do everything he could to try to win, and then my man put the ball on the ground again. And then after flirting with it on 4th and 1, and officially, Rattler got the hook. Second quarter against Texas for the second straight year. You couldn't have drawn that up. Look, just as rough, Oklahoma was down 35-20 with just over a minute left in the first half. And Oklahoma had put up an identical number of yards as Texas, 290, which is my point is saying, like, it really was about the turnovers. Rattler throwing it away, putting it on the ground, the punt was blocked. These are inflection points. These matter. But Oklahoma had a luxury, had an ace in the hole up his sleeve. It's called a 5-star quarterback. His name is Caleb Williams. Look, what I'm saying is, with the recruiting and development receipts, Riley has convinced 5-star quarterbacks to join other 5-star quarterbacks just at the right time. Think about this. Last year, QB2 is Tanner Mordecai. That dude is starting for an undefeated Southern Methodist team. Okay? They 6-0 too. Last year's QB3, Chandler Morris. He backed it up Max Duggan, who just ran it up with Texas Christian on Texas Tech. Just think where Oklahoma might be if Caleb Williams had chosen anybody else other than OU. The answer is probably transfer Micah Bowens, who comes from Penn State, who, yeah, all right, maybe you like, but I don't think you want to turn the keys to this offense over to that dude in a game of this magnitude with an undefeated season on the line. That's what I'm saying. The question after Rattler got the hook wasn't whether or not he should come back in, but whether or not Rattler might have played his last snap, started quarterback at OU. And I got to say, barring some Williams stuff, shenanigans, it don't look like it's going to happen, because that dude was magnificent in relief. He showed more poise than a poolside porpoise saying, sup. He finished with 3 TDs, 300 yards total, rushing and passing, a legendary moment at the only game many OU fans, myself included, say you have to win. Matter of fact, I'm on the phone with producer Kat going, you know what? This really is the game that matters the most to me, because I was beside myself in an empty room by myself. But what does this mean for Spencer Rattler's future? Number 1, my number 1 pick for the 2022 draft ain't looking too good. Okay, he looks less like a number 1 overall pick than any other quarterback that I have ever entertained in that position presently. And it's hard to be the number 1 overall pick when you're not even the number 1 overall pick on your own damn team. It's just tough. Is the portal a way to go? We still got half a season left. And I don't imagine Spencer Rattler's the kind of dude to throw his name in the portal in the middle of the season. Come the end of the season, that'll be an interesting discussion to have, okay? because we've seen other dudes leave for less, especially if Caleb Williams ends up leading Oklahoma not just to an undefeated season, just an undefeated October, because Oklahoma has not been undefeated through the month of October since 2004. Homie, I was 16. I'm a 34-year-old grown-ass man, dog. It's been a while. If Williams can do that, we gonna be all right. Now, the knives have been out for my man Spencer Rattler since West Virginia. Y'all ain't been treating that man fairly. Y'all booing the man at a home game. The man was nearly crying on the sideline, and yet he's still out there throwing himself in front of people trying to hurt him for you. And all you can come up with is, that dude is trash. I can't get on with you on that, man. I know how hard this game is to play. I can't do that. All right, number 2 thing that we finished with. BIJAN Robinson ought to get a Heisman ceremony invitation. Okay? BIJAN rhymes with Dijon, because my man is all sauce. He averaged 6.9 yards per carry this afternoon, and he rushed for nearly 800 yards through 6 games. He had 93 yards rushing on 8 carries through a quarter and a half. In fact, he looked as good as he did last season. This summer, though, I asked Steve Sarkisian, what is going to stop him from handing the ball to BIJAN 400 times this year? And here's what he said. We talk about the quarterback often because it's such an important position for the sport, and I understand how it drives conversation. But I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, even after putting up 50 a game at Alabama, putting 4 guys at skill positions into the draft, what's going to stop you from handing the guy 7 yards deep the ball 400 times a game?
Well, that's a huge component actually to who we are and what we're about offensively. I've never not had a year when I called plays in college football when I didn't have a 1,000-yard rusher. So we believe in running the ball first because ultimately we believe in the play-action pass. I think the play-action pass is a quarterback's best friend, and play-action passes work a lot better when you're running the ball well, and you've got to commit yourself to defending the run. And so we believe in running the ball, and we've got an excellent one in BIJAN Robinson. We've got some tremendous other, complementary runners back there, and Roschon Johnson, Keelan Robinson now on board. So ultimately, our offense starts there with that guy that's 7.5 yards behind the quarterback or next to him in nowadays football, but also throwing them the ball, getting them the ball in their hands in space to do what they do really well, and that's make people miss and matriculate the ball down the field to ultimately score.
And that was what BIJAN Robinson looked really good at doing in the first half. But Oklahoma didn't so much put the clamps on him in the second. As much as Steve Sarkisian stopped feeding him, he finished with 20 carries for 137 yards, which means his streak is broken. Streak I'm talking about. Texas had been undefeated when Robinson rushed for 100 yards or more. And this game, that's only true because it got squirrely as hell. Look, I'm telling you, that man is a Heisman Trophy candidate, full stop. The third thing we learned, Casey Thompson and Xavier Worthy are an absolute tandem. Look, Xavier Worthy, proven Oklahoma secondary is not. That man set a freshman receiving record, 9 catches, 261 yards in a game where he was the catalyst for this classic. I'm telling you, that dude is next level elite. I got nothing but respect for it. Just over there cooking Jaden Davis like grits. Look, and Casey Thompson hit 20 of 34 for 388 passing yards with 5 TDs. I couldn't ask more from my starting quarterback at Texas. Outstanding by all 3 of those cats. All right, but the fourth thing we learned, Brooks was here. Kennedy Brooks was on his Shawshank Redemption because, baby, again I say, Brooks was here. He went and got a win with a 33-yard rush to finish him Mortal Kombat style with 3 seconds left to play. Rushed for 217 yards on 25 carries in the game of his life and mine, since we're talking about games of lives, and in a game where Rattler was rattled. The defense was getting ripped asunder by, again, Thompson and Worthy. Brooks was here, though. He became the first OU 200-yard rusher since Trey Sermon ran over the Red Raiders for 206 yards, and the first versus Texas since Samaje Perine in 2016 went for 214. Brooks had his second 3-touchdown game of his career. He also had, a couple against Oklahoma State. He finished with a career high, again, 217 rush yards, which again is an OU fourth best individual rushing performance against Texas. Shout out my buddy Cliff Brunt at the AP for this stat. Top 5 rushing yards against Texas by any player. My man Damon Parker, 1997, had 291. He is from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Tulsa boys absolutely smack, okay? The short king elite, Quentin Griffin, went for 248 in 2002. Adrian Peterson, the bionic man himself, 225, 2004. Brooks, 217. Today, right just hours ago. And then the dude that the old heads love to tell me about, Greg Pruitt, 1971, 216 yards. Dog, that was 50 years ago. Y'all can leave me alone about whatever it was that Greg Pruitt was doing. I wasn't around. Look, Brooks sat out the 2020 season due to COVID. And heading into this season, he was one of just 2 scholarship tailbacks ready and eligible to play to start the season. Transfer Trey Bradford wanted to transfer after a month on campus. I don't get it. Seth McGowan got booted off the team. So did Mikey Henderson. Marcus Major began the season ineligible to play, and Oklahoma didn't really know what it had in Eric Gray. Saving outstanding spring game performance and Tennessee tape no one was sure would translate. Had Brooks not been ready-made, OU might not be bowl eligible after 6 weeks of football. Finally, I invite you, sir, ma'am, leave a comment in the stream if your team is also bowl eligible at 6 weeks of football. Woo! It's a good day. It's a doggone good day. Hey, kinfolk, I appreciate you for watching. Subscribe here and ring the bell so you don't miss the latest upload to the channel. Also, be sure to watch more videos here, like FS1 Studio shows and the best from Fox Sports and Fox Sports Digital.